Hello and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose, and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey towards freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told I have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this. Hey Marita, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks Jace. How are you?
Not too bad. Welcome to Uncovered, guys. I'm here with Marita. Marita is an expert in beauty, and we're going to talk about how important it is to get beauty from deep within rather than looking at it as a skin deep process. Now, you work in, tell us what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a dermal therapist, so I work in clinical skin. I've been doing that for the last 6 years, which is literally from the moment that I stepped into the beauty industry. I manage clinics, so I'm more in a clinic development manager role myself now as opposed to treating. However, I do still treat clients from time to time.
Okay, so when you started with us, you weren't doing any of that, were you?
I was, but not to the degree that I am now. So when I started with the academy, I was managing a different clinic in Canberra. I was across multiple sites at one point. However, comparing the role that I had then to the role that I have now I'm a lot more autonomous in the sense that I can build a clinic how I want. I can lead my team how I want. So it's given me a lot more confidence in my capabilities in the role that I'm in now.
Now, tell us about the beauty industry from your perspective. I know this can be quite a touchy subject for especially a lot of women.
Yeah.
Men don't focus on beauty so much. What have you noticed in the people that you work with around how they feel about themselves?
Yeah, I think a lot of us that go towards the beauty industry, we are people who may not necessarily feel good about ourselves. And I do believe when you step into this industry, because we're also working with people who don't necessarily feel good about who they are, whether it be outside, inside, or both. And I think a lot of us step into this industry because subconsciously we're trying to heal ourselves from that by actually working with our clients.
Yeah, and I think this is really, really important, listeners, that a lot of time you go and get your nails done, or you go and get I'm not really sure exactly what a dental
all that stuff
does.
Yeah.
But you go and do something because something on the inside may not feel right.
Yeah.
And I think this is really, really important, because if we keep focusing on what's on the outside, eventually we do get older.
Yeah.
And what do you do, like, when you are getting older, and do people get addicted to this industry? Like, what do people do? Like,
100%. Like, it's when it comes to beauty, it's very interesting, and I've got a bit of a different, almost a little bit challenging view of what I see as beauty in the industry as opposed to others. So for a lot of people, when you've got people coming into your clinic and they want to get treatments done, people are coming in, majority of the time, and unfortunately it's the truth, people are coming in out of a place of hate. They're going, oh, I hate how my face looks, I hate how my skin looks, I want to do something to make myself feel better. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, and it's really normal for us to feel like that. However, it becomes a problem when people get addicted to those treatments to actually feel better, and there's a lot of enablement that goes on in the industry. I think us as beauty professionals need to know when to draw the line to go, okay, is this client addicted to a treatment that's actually not going to be as beneficial for them in the long run as if they do the deeper work, or are they actually coming in and doing this out of self-care? And I think it's really important as a beauty professional to be able to draw the line. Like, we attract so many people with body dysmorphia. I've suffered with that myself to a small degree, not as excessive as other people. And I think that's something really important that we need to focus on, especially when it comes to things like cosmetic injectables, which I'm not saying is wrong. Everybody can choose what they want to do.
That's Botox, right?
Yeah, that Botox fillers.
You've got to help me out with the lingo
That's
here.
okay. Yeah, because look, it's people's choices what avenue they choose to go down. But you do see people who are overfilled and go to that excessive degree, and it does worry me that there are professionals out there, instead of taking a step back and going, okay, obviously there's something psychological going here, actually enabling dysmorphia, and I think that's a huge problem in the industry.
Yeah, I hear you. So a question that I'd love to ask you about this is, are people going to these clinics getting younger and younger?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I find that really interesting because I just don't understand. Like, I'll give you a little bit of a tip from a guy's perspective.
Yeah.
We're not really looking at your wrinkles.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not really looking that way.
Yeah.
We're not looking... We pay far less attention than I think a lot of women think.
Yeah.
And I know when I was young, there was no such... These clinics didn't really exist in masses.
Yeah.
It was very, very rare that people would go and get something done, in quotes. It was only sort of like for Hollywood movie stars.
Yeah.
And you saw the Hollywood people having it done.
Yeah.
But you never saw just the regular person getting things done.
Yeah, and I think there's pros and cons to that. So the pros of it is that people in general now are more invested in their self-care than what they used to be younger. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Yeah. Where I think it's a negative is we've got, especially as women, we have such a huge fear on, oh, I can't look old, I need to look younger, oh my gosh, I've got a wrinkle, I need to get rid of it. And it's kind of like, well, why though? Like, we can look at being old as being old and whatever negative connotation you have to it, or you can look and be like, wow, this is somebody with 50 years life experience, I want to learn from them. That's beautiful. The wisdom that that person holds is beautiful, and I think it's such a shame that we actually can sometimes bring people down to something as superficial as purely to how they look, because that to me has very little to do with beauty at all.
Yeah, I hear you. I remember watching a movie with Anya about 2 months ago, and it was a movie with women who actually looked normal. They were in their 40s and they raised their eyebrows and everything moved. Yeah. I was like, wow, this is amazing, because I hadn't seen a movie where that was the case for such a long period of time, because it's such a world where that doesn't happen in that industry at all anymore. Yeah. And it was beautiful to actually see. It was just nice, like from a male perspective. And I think what you're saying here, and I think, like, tell me if I'm wrong, Marita, around where you want to help people with beauty, is to get people to really feel gorgeous from the inside out. Yeah, yeah. Rather than the outside in.
Yep, 100%. Like what beauty means to me, and I think it's individual for a lot of people, but if I was to sum it all up, true beauty to me is valuing yourself and who you are so much on the inside that you want to showcase and express it on the outside. So it doesn't mean that you're trying to look good to impress someone. It's going, wow, I value my kindness, I value my strength, I value my care. I care and I'm passionate about this so much that I want to be seen in the world and actually show people who I am. And if I bring that back to my own personal experiences, I've done both. I've done everything under the sun when it comes to beauty in an unhealthy way. So I remember I used to wake up when I think I was like 14 or 15. When I was going to school at that time, my parents, all they really cared about was how I looked. They were very vain. I learnt some good things about them too, but my family in general is quite vain. I'd wake up at 5 or 6 o'clock every morning to put my makeup on because I felt so ugly and gross and that nobody could possibly like me unless I looked good. So I put so much emphasis on how I looked physically, but because I didn't like who I was on the inside. Then I did the absolute opposite. I went to the point where I was like, oh God, well, I couldn't be stuffed. Looking good is full of crap or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to make absolutely no effort into my appearance at all. And again, it came from a place of I'm not important, I'm not good enough, now I'm not going to buy into looking good at all. So I was unhealthy on both of those polarities, and it's only really now after doing the academy work, because this has helped me with this brilliantly, is that now I've really brought it together where it's now I value myself. I feel beautiful for the first time ever, and instead of wanting to make myself look good in the way that is a healthy expression for me to have other people go, oh, she looks beautiful, I'm doing it for the first time ever where it's like I actually want to be seen in the world. I want to share the message that I have, and I want to be shown for my internal beauty and allow that to be seen instead of just focusing on the superficial, because I think when we do that we really miss and look past the beauty of others.
Yeah, I think we do. And I like, for me personally as a guy, the place that I look the most for beauty is in the eyes.
Yeah.
I don't see, that's the first place I look. I look and see what is the person like on the inside, and you know what my eyeballs are like. Yes. I drill into people and actually find out where they are in life. And beauty comes from another place for me. I don't see it the same way as a lot of people, as you know. And I think this is what we've got to learn, is that if you can look at yourself in the mirror, listeners, and you can see what you see on the inside, and you're looking just in your soul, right? Looking at your eyes, back at your eyes, and seeing what's in there, and finding out how to break through whatever barriers that you can't see that are beautiful from the way that you look just at the eyeballs.
Yeah.
And I think we need to learn something really important here, is that the eyes are the seat of the soul. And if I've seen, people who, I won't mention anybody's name, who are, very well known. I've looked at magazine covers. I'm like, oh my God, they're very unhappy and very angry and bitter.
Yeah.
And they might be very, very good looking.
Yep.
And I can't see anything but ugly from the way that I look, because I see the way that they feel, but it's not like I do the opposite for the people who feel ugly on the inside, but they feel that way, but they're not putting a massive show on.
Yeah.
Right? And when you see people putting this huge show on, I just think beauty is being a nice person.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple. And I don't know what's happened to us as a society in lots of ways. I don't know whether we're getting worse or getting better. What do you think? Like, what do you think's happening in this world right now?
It's an interesting one. I need a little bit of time to ponder on it, I think. Yeah, really, when you look at it, what I actually think is happening now that I'm thinking about it, especially, you go on social media apps like Facebook and Instagram, where everybody just wants to look perfect, because that's how they sell products to people who want to look like these people without knowing that they've had filters, Photoshop, all of that kind of stuff going on. So we're putting such a ridiculous emphasis on how people look. Like what you said, we're totally missing the internal beauty of a person. What I actually think is going on, if things continue on the trajectory that they're on, everyone's going to start looking the same, which is then in turn going to force us to focus on internal beauty anyway, because if we all look the same, then what's the appeal? That's actually what I think is going on. So I think the most important thing for people at the moment is, like what you said, like actually look inside of yourself. And I think so many of us, when we feel ugly, like I really understand this because I've felt really ugly for most of my life, is we're actually in denial of how beautiful and brilliant we actually are. And I think what's going on at this time is actually forcing people to become aware of that.
Yeah, I hear you. And look, I think it's a bit of a challenge. I see, different cultures have certain rules around beauty, and it's the women that do it, not the men. That's where the opposite towards, compared to the animal kingdom, where the male's like trying to show the female that they're pretty. So in the animal world, typically it's the male that's actually got all the plumage for the birds and all of that sort of stuff, and the strongest. in this, you get people in tribes in Africa where the longest neck with the rings is the most attractive, or the biggest earlobe. You know, so it's changed in Western world, like over time, like what is beautiful, but it's all quite often the physical appearance, and it's really interesting to see how time goes, and what we do, even the bikini, how it is, and how it's changed, and for guys, we're just in the same things. Pretty much.
My partner will wear like the same clothes that he wore one night to work the next day. I could never get away with that, and I'm like, how are you doing that? And he's like, oh, no one cares. And I'm like, you're right, they don't. Like, what is this? And
what's happened, like, for guys, it's like as you said with your partner, is that no one cares. And I'd love to ask you about that, actually. You've got this amazing partner who doesn't mind if you've got extra weight on, and doesn't mind what you look like. What does that feel like, having a person who is really probably really helping you heal what you used to think we thought we liked? What does it feel like having the good guy in your world just saying, you know, I love you the way that you are?
Oh, it's so liberating. Like, I can't get over how liberating it is, because it's really healing for me, because I feel like I can actually be myself in the relationship, and I'm loved for who I am, and it's helped me destroy so many unhealthy patterns that I've had around connecting with people. Like, usually I'd find that I'd subconsciously make myself feel uglier to push people away from me, whereas I've had him, which is actually something people don't really touch on. Like, it's very interesting. We can sometimes go, oh, I feel ugly, I hate feeling ugly, but sometimes we're actually more comfortable feeling like that, so we're not seen, and that's my personal experience. And with him, I was doing my pattern of trying to make myself feel gross so he'd go away, because I didn't want anyone to connect with me. And I remember he was just like, I just love you how you are, I think you're beautiful, I don't care how you look. And that really allowed me to break that pattern and then go, okay, wow, people actually love me for me. I love me for me. I'm learning to, at least. So, okay, now I don't really need to destroy myself and make myself feel ugly to stay safe. And it's been such a liberating thing, because I think there's actually so many of us that also do that too.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one, isn't it? So to try and push people away. I know one thing that irritates me quite a bit around guys, especially when they're in a relationship. Guys can tend to just not look after their bodies. And put on the bigger, or put on the belly. You know, and I know women are far less susceptible to actually doing that. You see these women who are like yourself, you know, taking care of your body, and you've got a really good balanced way of doing that, and then you see the guy and you go, what the hell happened to that dude? And I think listeners, especially for the guys who are listening to this right now, sharpen your act up. I think it's like, you know, I'm not talking about looking good, I'm talking about health. Right? And I think this is really important, because looking good and having your body's you know, in good shape. I'm not saying anorexia, or I'm not a big fan of the bodies which are, you know, too much. I'm just looking at a healthy way to present yourself, body wise and face wise. And we need to really sharpen our act up around health. I think it's not just looking good on the outside, like, you know, drinking water, like where you and I are, and a bunch of other people do a water challenge. So what we do is we make sure we have enough water every day, and we post a stupid GIF of water, whatever we can find, on a messenger group. And all it does is that, like, water is the key ingredient for healthy skin, right? So what do we do if we're not thinking, even more deliberately focusing on health as opposed to beauty? Because they should go hand in hand.
Oh, 100%. I think it's so important. The amount of people that I see will do things that jeopardise their health to look better. I think
So tell me what those things are.
Oh, like when people take like intravenous drugs to go to the gym. I forget what they're called. I'm going to get it wrong, so I'm not going to say the name. Like there's drugs that people take to strip body weight really quickly.
Okay.
You know, slimming drinks, which will be toted by somebody on Instagram, and you don't know if it's actually good for your body or not. And I think it's really interesting how we'll do things that damage our health to look better, or like starving yourself, or, you know, putting yourself on a ridiculous diet that's not sustainable. I can put my hand up and say I've done all of those things, but why do we want to damage ourselves to look better? I think that's something I find really interesting, because we should value, you know, it's important to value yourself enough to want to take care of your body instead of breaking it down to be hopefully accepted by somebody else. That's something I find very interesting, and it's something I also did for a very long period of time.
Yeah, like there's one thing I heard, I never knew this before, is Syntocin. Have you heard of that?
I think that might have been what I was thinking of.
It's like it's a drug that you put in your butt to make your perfect butt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I never knew that was a thing.
Yeah.
And to put something, an oil in your body, how do you know what that's going to do? Like, I'm sure there's studies now, because it's not. It's probably, I think it's relatively new.
Yeah.
Or probably five years old or something like that. Well, long-term effects of something like that would be a problem, I would assume.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know when we're putting stuff in our bodies that are difficult. I remember one lady who was coming to see me, and she was doing Botox. Yeah. And Botox actually goes in your stomach channels.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you put something here, that's stomach too. Right, just to make sure this is all looking good, and that can give you problems with your guts. And you know, there's huge number of acupuncture points sitting in your face. So when you do something like that, it can create havoc. And I remember this lady saying to me, "Oh, you know, I've got gut issues," and I knew she was doing Botox, and she didn't want to get rid of the Botox, and she was having worse issues with her stomach. Because we don't know, you know, Chinese medicine is a great understanding that you can figure out what our bodies can deal with acupuncture points. And so when we put stuff in places that we don't know what we're doing, then we can create some more health issues.
Well, it's the same with breast implants. People found out recently that breast implants link to a whole myriad of autoimmune issues.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So there's so many things out there. We've just got to be really mindful of what we choose to do to ourselves. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, okay, you want to look beautiful, we all want to look after ourselves, that's okay, but what methods are we taking to get there? And are those methods taking further away or closer to health? If they're getting us closer to health, I don't see the issue. If there's potential chance that it can take you further away, then that's when we've got a bit of an issue.
Yeah, and I think this is where we've got to really look, listeners, is if we're in a place where we're taking the journey away from health, when you do get older, what's it going to be like for your body? Right? I know someone told me that they had their breast taken out, and they were gangrene.
Oh, wow. From implants.
I'm
not surprised.
I was just like, okay, this is really, you know, and so what would that do? So I'm assuming that probably doesn't happen with everybody. But you know, we can have these experiences where we can create a detriment, and you know, psychologically we create a detriment, but also physically as well. So tell us, I'd love to know from your perspective. We've got three major things that we can have around beauty. One is, you know, your mental, the other is your emotional, and the last one's your physical. Which one do you believe is the most difficult that you deal with the clients or even your staff? Like,
actually, the emotional, and I think it's because people don't think to look at it, and the emotionals are harder to deal with, because I think whenever we've got such a strong emphasis on disliking a body part, there's always an emotional reason behind it. And that's why, you know, sometimes you see people who have multiple surgeries on their nose, their boobs, their bum, whatever it is, and they're never happy, and it's because it actually had nothing to do with their nose or whatever body part it was. There's something emotionally going on, which leads then to a mental thought around it, which then manifests in the body later. So I think emotional, like, we hear such a strong emphasis on mental health, which, look, is great, we don't want to discredit that, but emotional health should actually be the pinnacle point of our health.
And no one really actually talks about that. I know we do a lot of emotional work in the academy.
Yeah.
So I know you know how big an emphasis that we focus on that, because it isn't focused on in this world.
Yeah.
What do you think the major emotion is that is going on? Like, are there a couple that you would see that from your clients, or that you've experienced, like, or that you pick up that they won't even say?
Yeah, definitely. Shame is a huge one. Shame is huge. I also think, this is a bit of a heavy one, hate. There's a lot of people who just really, really dislike themselves. And because it feels so yucky, we don't really talk about it. And then these are the people who are constantly going from clinic to clinic and getting different treatments done because they're trying to dislike themselves less. And I'd love to be in a position where eventually one day, do the treatments. The treatments are fantastic. It's really good to look after yourself, but we're actually taking care of that emotional component, so they're working synergistically, not fighting each other, because that's a really big thing that I do see in clients sometimes.
Yeah,
and it's not, it's hard, because I'm not necessarily, you can't have somebody on a desk, okay, so I've picked up that you hate yourself today. You can't do that. So I think that's something really important that needs to be touched on.
So for me, being a therapist for so many years, I've worked on so many people who have, you know, disgust, hate, despair, shame, all of those sorts of things, and it's an environment that's people would come to see me for.
Yeah.
So it was always opened up. People would tell me all the things that they were hiding from the world, the deep dark places that people are in, and people do that very, very openly in groups in the academy now to actually allow people to actually feel normal about these things. In the beauty industry, is that a taboo thing, or maybe is it something where people just don't have the skills to actually help people in that area?
I think it's a bit of both. I think we don't have the skills. I think we focus too much on the treatments, too much on the products. The treatments and products are fantastic, but like what I said, the emotional component comes first. We need more training, and actually to create more what's the word I'm looking for? We want to create more of a space within our businesses where we actually have the opportunity to address the both. I think that if there was something to be a change in the beauty industry, I believe that's what it is, because like I said, otherwise we've got people, we don't want our clients to be hamster wheels. We don't want them coming in and out and feeling the same about themselves forever. We want to create the changes in their skin, but we also want to create the changes in their hearts at the same time, and I don't believe that's enough of a focus at the moment. So I also do believe it's taboo in a sense, because, you know, there's a lot of kind of toxic positivity that goes around, love yourself, take care of yourself. But when you dislike yourself and you feel shame, you don't even know where to begin.
No, and people don't know what to say, because everyone's trying to put the positive spin down. Yeah. And in all of life, there's not always a positive spin, especially on the human body and the way that we think we look in the world.
Yeah.
So what are we to do when this is happening? Do you think there could be an extra arm to maybe the beauty industry, where there could be a sense of educating people and showing people that it's okay to feel the way that they feel, so then they can actually get the treatments, love the treatments, but not rely on the treatments?
Oh, 100%. I think that is so important, because if I relay again back to my own experience, the thing that has helped me the most has not been the treatments, it's not been the products, it's been my own emotional self-care. And now that I've done that, I don't need treatments and products as a crutch. I do them because I enjoy doing them and I like looking after myself, but at the same time, I don't rely on them to feel good. And I think that's the thing that needs to change. So definitely, I think it's a new avenue that we could be going down.
100%. Now, if we look at the skin is the biggest organ in the whole body.
Yeah.
So it's an essential organ that we need to really take care of. Guys don't really take care of their skin very well.
No.
We're getting better at it.
Yes, yeah.
I put skin cream on every now and then.
Amazing.
Not all the time, but when I remember, I put it on. When Anya says my skin looks a bit dry, I put it on.
Yeah.
But for us, we need to understand, it's not just doing the treatments, it's actually understanding the health benefits of it as well, because you're doing dermal care, aren't you?
Yeah, so I do more clinical skin treatments. So outside of your standard
What does that mean?
So if you look at your standard beauty, you do things like spa facials, which feel really nice and relaxing. However, they don't really have long-term benefits to the skin. With the clinics that I work at, we're looking at more dermal therapies. So this is clinical peels, skin needling, laser treatments designed to help the skin regenerate and resurface itself. So it's a more intensive treatment than what you'd get going into your standard spa, which is fine. Spas are lovely environments if you want a bit of pampering. However, this is a little bit more targeted towards skin health.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So what would you say to the listeners who have the opportunity to listen to this today? What would you say to them about valuing, the industry and how to get best use out of it?
Out of the industry, I think two things. Firstly, if there is something that you don't like about yourself and you're struggling with accepting, be it your nose, boobs, bum, whatever it is, ask yourself how that makes you feel and actually nurture yourself through that emotion. I think that's the number one most important thing you can do before you even walk into a clinic. Then when you walk into a clinic, just do your research. Find your best dermal clinic in your area, find a physician that you trust, and actually stick to the treatment plan that they give you, because what we recommend does work. However, you do need to have the dedication to actually follow through with your plan, because we can't really give the best results, and I have experienced this before. If you're not following through with your therapist's recommendations, that's super duper important.
Okay, so one question I'd love to ask you is that you did mention in the beginning to spend time looking after your emotional stuff. Is that something you think you can do on your own?
Oh, 100%. Well, look, you can, but you need support. I think we want to, at the start, get support from others, because it's really hard. We're people, we need to be connected to others. We can't do everything on our own. We need to reach out for support. At the same time, we want to be able to teach ourselves to actually be able to nurture ourselves on our own, so we're not reliant on others. So I think a balance of both is key, because I know for me, I was so reliant on others. I had Jace say to me in year 2 of the academy, "Marita, don't see me for 3 months," and it was the best thing he could have done, because I needed to learn how to self-nurture. But we always need support. We can't do it on our own.
Yeah, and I think also, as you said, getting the right help is really, really important.
Yeah.
You said something really pinnacle, listeners, which is enablement. So there's a couple of things around enablement that you can do with beauty. Is that someone can actually you.
Yeah.
And give you a little pat on the shoulders, which you were trying to get from me, which I didn't allow, because I knew I needed to help you break through.
Yeah.
And then there's the, over positivity spin that people do, and then we're looking at all these filters, right? So how can we let go of all of these things? I remember having Anya had my phone one day. and she put a filter on my phone.
Yeah.
And I took a selfie and put it on Facebook, and someone said, "Oh, nice filter, Jason." And I was just like, "There's no filter on my phone." And then I looked at the photo. I was just like, "Holy shit, that's not me."
Yeah.
Because it wasn't me.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. Oh, sorry, you go.
And so how do we do this, guys? We've got to make sure that we have these things in place where we can get the right type of help.
Yeah.
That are not going to enable us into feeling like a victim of circumstance.
Yeah.
And to have the balance of the over positivity, and to let go of these things that actually, there's filters that make people, I've seen people and I don't even recognise who they are.
Yeah, yeah.
And imagine going on a date, and I've had a few people that we know who have filtered themselves, and they look completely different physically to what they do on their phones.
Yeah.
And then they go on a dating app.
Yeah.
And then they wonder why they've been rejected by the person.
Yeah.
Because the person is looking at the filter, not at the person.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think that's quite sad when people feel the need to do that quite heavily to themselves, because that's coming from a place of disgust or shame around who they are. So I think we do need to have some compassion for people like that. At the same time, if you've got a friend who's doing that, if you've got someone who is making themselves look so different to who they are, pull them up. Don't enable that. You know, if you have a friend that has made themselves look so different on a dating app and they've gone on there and been rejected, don't tell them that, oh, whoever you spoke to, oh, was a jerk. No. This person obviously isn't accepting who they actually are. They're not putting an accurate representation of who they are. How are you going to help them get there? And I think that's really important, because like what you said, enablement, I think, is huge in this industry, and we need to also create a safe enough space where we can actually facilitate an environment where people can really look at themselves and go, okay, wow, this is what I'm doing and I need to change. Because had I not had the environment of the academy to do that in, I would not be where I am and who I am now.
Yeah, and look, I think one thing, listeners, that's really, really important is the way that you look is actually not going to be the reason why you're going to get a partner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing I can guarantee, we do astrology in the academy, and we can see people who have they're like honey to a bee with relationships. All they need to do is put their stand up in a crowd and everyone comes running to them.
Yeah.
And then you have people who have really low karma. I remember this lady who was she's one of those people, she didn't have anything done. She's one of those people you could just look at because she looked like art. And she was really terrible in relationships. She was single for a really, really long time because she had a whole lot of other things going on, and you could see it's not the beauty that actually brings the person to the table, it's actually what you've got to do to work on yourself. So if you've got really tough karma around creating relationships with the opposite sex, you've got to make sure that you really put some effort in to work on yourself to find out why. Yeah. Because, like as you said, you were the moment you found someone really nice, you were trying to get them
to push them away.
To reject you. And I've seen that lots of times with a lot of people. Is that and it's the fear of opening the doorway to the deepest part of your heart. Yeah. Right. And if someone rejects your surface, it's a lot harder than someone rejecting your deep. Yeah. And so that's why people stay surface, because rejection's a lot easier, even if it's maybe a little bit devastating. But if someone gets to really know you, and then they poke a fork in your heart, when they get to know what's really behind you, that can be more devastating.
100%. And I think that's why, as people in a society, we focus so much on how we look, because we're really afraid of people truly seeing us. And I think there's something quite sad about that, because there's so much beauty in people that's waiting to be seen. If we only allow ourselves to open up to who we actually are, and of course it's easier said than done, I'm not saying that I have that nailed, world, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and it does take work, guys. You can't just go, okay, I'm going to just show up and be open.
No.
Doesn't work that way. You've got to find out why you're closed to start off with, and then figure out how you can find that beauty within. And it's going into the shame, the disgust, the despair, the hate, the ugliness, whatever it is that you feel about yourself, so you can actually find out what's in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Because quite often what you look for is not what you find.
Yep.
It's because again, it's actually surface.
Yep.
So even when you think you're ugly, that's actually surface.
Yep.
It's not deep.
Yep.
So someone's looking really good and they feel ugly on the inside, but underneath that is this golden person hiding behind this ugliness, this darkness. There's this depth of every human soul is absolutely beautiful. Some people just cover it over really, really well. I'm talking about arseholes here. I'm not talking about people covering it over with how they look. It's we all are beautiful from the inside. Yeah. And we've got to find it.
Yep, definitely. Like I strongly believe, like when I look back at my life experience, that believing that we're ugly just means that we're in denial of our beauty and brilliance. And I think the way to start working with that is like what you said, Jace, just deep dive, like have a look at the depth, look at how you're feeling about yourself, and then underneath that, when you work through that, that's when you'll find your gold.
100%. I mean, I've got I feel like you've said this to me. I actually called you out on this. I'm like the ugly duckling in the
No.
So, yes, I am. Remember, I said to you, I've upgraded, haven't I?
Oh, that's right. Years ago. I was like, oh, your wife's so pretty.
And I was just like, and you felt very, very uncomfortable with and I just found it hilarious. And my kids are very, very beautiful looking humans.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
And the thing that's most beautiful about them is the care, right? The love and the care, and I get to experience that with my kids. And it's going to be a challenging journey for people who have that striking look, because everyone stares at them.
Yeah.
And I know from people who, I remember this lady who was on the bus one time, and she was a very good looking lady, and I was just like, there was only one spot left, and I sat next to her, and men are sleazy on the bus.
Yeah.
So she was, because I'm a reader of people, and I was just like, oh yeah, here's this sleazy guy sitting next to me, and he's going to do the big, every time the corner goes, and he's going to put his whole body all over me. And I was reading a book, and I made sure I just had my legs really strong. Every time the corner went, I didn't touch her.
Yeah.
And then she gave me this big, gorgeous smile, and got off the bus. Yeah. And I didn't really take any notice of it, because I knew she'd had enough of men doing that. So, even when you're in that place, some people like the attention and some people don't.
Yeah.
Right? And it can be really, really challenging when you get looked at all the time. What are people looking at?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know I walked down in the mall, and I did this with Anya. She got a bit cranky with me when I did it. But, I was just counting the number of people that stared at her. I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and everybody was. Yeah. But she just walks down, and she's one of those people who always is dressed and looks immaculate. Yeah. And there are times where I look at her and I go, "Have you got makeup on?" As when she doesn't. Yeah. And I'm like, she goes, "No." I'm like, "Oh, well, you look pretty anyway."
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm that person who is looking at someone from the inside.
Yeah.
I think that's really important to learn how we can do that ourselves. And I think as a tip, like if a guy or a girl is so focused on the outside, they're going to probably have some problems with the relationships that they create.
Yeah, definitely, 100%, because they're focusing on that to hide from what they're feeling on the inside, and that's going to come up in the relationship always.
Yeah. And if you think that a guy is going to like you more because you look better, you've done yourself up, they're not necessarily potentially going to be the nicest guys. And I see this a lot with I used to work on lots of really nice men, and they'd say, how come women choose arseholes, Jason? I said, yeah, because they that's how they feel on the inside.
Yeah.
So they feel on the inside, so they attract on the outside someone who's going to treat them how they feel on the inside.
Yeah.
And once you start working on yourself, you start getting treated differently on the outside as well, male and female.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, 100%. And like I can relate to that with my own experience too, because when I started working, like your relationships are going to be a reflection of how you feel on the inside. So if you're not working on that, you're going to have that mirrored to you. And the time when I really started working on how I felt on the inside and started genuinely accepting myself more, that's when my partner came, and it had absolutely nothing to do with how I looked at that time at all.
Yeah. So Marita, what's your biggest goal? Like, what's your goal that you want to create in the world? Because I know, we pulled you apart in the academy, and we put you back together very well. And you put yourself back together really well with all the work that you did as well. Because you can only co-participate in the academy. You can't just have us do it for you.
No.
What's your big goal in the world? What do you really, what's the impact that you really would like to make?
The impact that I want to make is I want to absolutely redefine the beauty industry. I want to change there from being such a external emphasis on how you look. Now, I actually want to create facilities where we're building people up on how they feel on the inside and then have that mirrored to the outside. And that's the biggest impact that I want to have. So I want to help support people through shame, disgust, hate, all of those emotions, so people can actually find and believe the brilliance of who they actually are, because there are so many of us that just walk around and we go, oh, I'm crap, I'm terrible, I'm this, I'm that, and that's okay to feel that way. I don't want to say that that's wrong or bad. It's actually good to acknowledge those feelings, but underneath that, I want to bring out what I feel is my absolute purpose. I want to bring out the beauty and brilliance in every single person that I deal with, whether it be my relationships, people that I manage, people that I work with. That for me is my ultimate goal, because I know what it feels like to not feel those things. I know what it feels like to be that person who feels like the shit on somebody else's shoe. And now that I don't feel like that anymore, I want to help every single person who feels that way.
Okay, that sounds like an amazing purpose.
Thanks.
And we call that purpose in your problems, guys. So you had a problem and you've overcome it, and we still are overcoming things. You're not perfect, neither am I. It's amazing when someone has come from feeling pretty bleak in their internal world and is actually sees the light in themselves and now wants to share that in the world.
I want to bring that out in other people now. Like I see people when they feel like they don't value themselves and they think they're shit, and I'm like, oh, if only you could see the beauty that I see in you. Like, let's bring it out.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Marita. Well, thank you for jumping on to Uncovered. Is there anything else you would like to say?
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been really nice actually to talk about this and share. So thank you for asking me, and thank you for the Academy, because I wouldn't be here.
I agree. Look, the thing is, you've blown yourself away with your changes, and it's only just started, and the world is going to be a better place with you in it.
Yeah, thanks, Jace. Much appreciated.
Okay, thanks so much, listeners. Hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate you, and we really appreciate your time, because time is so valuable. What we'd love you guys to do, if you like this podcast, if you could share it with your friends, and also our website address for the podcast is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademypodcast.com. Our website is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademy.com. We have a free Facebook group called Wellness Leadership Evolution, so search for that. I'd love it if you could add me as a friend on Facebook. I don't buy it, so add me as a friend, and if you want some help and you would really like some support from us in the Academy, jump in. We have a process. You can do a break-in call to connect in with us. We do small courses. We have lots of things that we share. So we'd love the opportunity to give you a chance to change your life and turn it into a free one. You are one transformation away from change. Come and catch up.